Welcome to another episode of the Map It Forward SWAPCAST, everyone. A SWAPCAST between the Map It Forward Middle East podcast and the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward. I'm joined by the fabulous Sara Alali. Sara, it's great to have you again.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Lee.
My pleasure. We have been talking about that cafe, your cafe that you're opening in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, a cafe that is going to set the standard, inshallah, set the standard for cafes across the Middle East and will become a destination cafe for people from around the world. And this is something that was born, and I don't say this lightly, this was born from Sara's soul. And as someone who has had the privilege of helping in a tiny way to build this, it was an absolute honor to watch you turn this idea and this vision that you had for celebrating people into something that was so much more than just a dream and a vision. It's something now that is an incredibly beautiful building. It is filled with hiring plans, and it is filled with a menu, and it has infrastructure planning extensively throughout it. And in this episode of the podcast, we're going to talk about all the kind of infrastructure planning that most people don't know that they need to build a cafe. And there's a lot, and we'll talk about that at length. Before we do, this episode is sponsored by Map It Forward Consulting. And so if in 2022 you are looking to bring a consultant into your business to either start your business or to grow your business, consider heading to the show notes and getting in contact with Map It Forward, and we can start a conversation with you right away. So, Sara, when we talk about infrastructure planning, there were, something that really impressed me about you as we were doing all of this. This is your first big business. You've had a pop-up before, but this is the first time we started working on profit and loss statements and projected sales plans, inventory planning. We had stock take sheets. We had hiring plans. We had orientation plans, all of these kinds of infrastructure things that needed to happen, as well as dealing with government so that you could get permits for employees, as well as certificates so that you can open the shop. All of this kind of infrastructure, it's so hard to get your head around everything that needs to get done, right?
Yeah. It was difficult.
How did it feel navigating every time that crazy woman Lee would say to you, okay, so now we have to do this, and now we have to do this, and now we have to do this? It just doesn't seem to end, does it?
No. It's like we were talking about the puzzle, you remember?
Yeah.
That, it's like a pieces of the puzzle that you need to put together in order to have the whole picture.
You know what that reminds me of? You know the list? The list.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, the list.
This is a list that all one-on-one consulting clients with Map It Forward get. And a lot of the mastermind group attendees got this list as well. But, I mean, it's a list that you look at it and it's exhausting. Just looking at it is exhausting, right?
It is, yeah.
Because
if I would see it at the beginning, I was like, I'm not going to open a cafe. Khalas.
It's really intense. And I remember I put it together for a client this year, and I looked at it and went, this is exhausting. Not putting the list together, but just all the things.
Looking at it.
Exactly.
Just looking at it, and it's all of these things I have to do. It's like, oh my God, like it's so scary. And at the same time, I know a lot of people who started the business and they don't know even 4 items on the list.
Yeah. It's quite frightening. how many people in our industry are unaware of the journey ahead of them when they decide to open a cafe, right?
Yeah.
And this was a
Like
big...
for us, because we know, like in the mastermind group, and like we're panicking just looking at the list. It's like, oh my God, like we haven't started yet. So it's a lot of things to do.
Oh, there's a lot of things to do. And the idea, I mean, this was a big part of in our conversations about celebrating people and celebrating staff, and you coming up with the idea that because there's no real way out there for people to learn and be mentored into opening their business, and because you realized how difficult it was to understand all the different infrastructure elements that go towards building a business, this was a big motivator for you to want to encourage your staff that if they do want to open a business, we don't want you to hide that from us. We want you to let us help you figure out how to do it so that we can be transparent and we can let you into the process. Is that right?
Yeah. And also, like, I want to add to this, like, when I started working, when I had the idea of the business, I was looking for people who can help me, like people who opened cafes before and can tell me what it took them to start the cafe. They would tell you it's difficult, but how difficult it is, no one will tell you. Does it involve? Nothing. Or they will tell you it's all very easy, just go and open your cafe. So I wanted to know, like I was even willing to pay people just to tell me what exactly I need to open a cafe.
Yeah.
So it's now like when I went through it all, I said, oh my God, like I went through this, and what are other people doing?
It's scary, right?
I found the people that can help me, which is you, and I can't be, I'm very grateful for you. I'm so happy to, like, I don't have even the words to express it, but
thank you.
It was, maybe the pandemic was a time where I paused and I said, oh my God, like now I found the person that can help me and support this business. And at the same time, I have it's the pandemic, so I can pause.
Yeah. And we worked
rethink. We worked the time.
So hard on getting this done.
So it was an opportunity for me to reflect back on the business and truly think about what does celebrating people mean and what does improving coffee experiences mean and how I'm going to do it. And it's not just like I'm taking the knowledge and keeping it for myself. Right. I want other people, because the vision is to improve coffee experiences. So how I'm going to do this if I'm keeping everything as a secret?
Yep.
So we're going to help others to build their own business, but they have to know first what it takes to build a business.
And this is where the infrastructure comes in, right?
Yeah.
It blows my mind the number of people in our industry. And before I say this, I want everyone to know that I understand why people don't know how to do this stuff. It's because there's nobody really out there that's a trusted source that has been teaching this stuff. But the number of people that at a time where we're experiencing extreme inflation across our industry and coffee shortages, and everybody's saying, you got to put your prices up, you got to put your prices up. Well, how much should you put your prices up? How do you know if the amount that you put your prices up is enough? Well, the way that you know that is by understanding how to do a cost breakdown analysis. And, well, you can't do a cost breakdown analysis until you understand how to read a profit and loss statement. And many people, most of the people that I know in the coffee industry will tell you, I pay someone to do my profit and loss statement. Yes, that's great. Everybody should. But do you understand how to read it? No, I pay someone to do that for me. I pay someone to understand that for me. And for me, that's a clear sign that this is somebody who hasn't put together the infrastructure of their business properly, because they don't know if they're pricing their product adequately. They don't know if every product that they're selling is profitable or not. And that's really, really scary, particularly at a time like this, where we've got so much unrest from an economic perspective around the globe.
Yeah, and we can see like a lot of businesses that are just copying other business. They copy the menu, they copy the prices. And
that scares me.
Yeah, it's really scary.
Yeah.
And it's a disaster.
I got to ask you, with all the work that we've put into the infrastructure, and just to be clear with everybody about what we mean by infrastructure, we're talking about not only the documentation, but the execution of the documentation. So, creating a hiring plan and using that and executing on that plan, creating an orientation plan for staff and executing on that orientation plan. It's about creating an inventory management system and stock taking every month at the same time. Like this is the kind of infrastructure that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. For you as someone who's about to open this business, what does it feel like knowing that you've got that locked in?
It's a relief.
Yeah.
Because building a business is very stressful. And now when I have things that I locked and I know that I have done, I feel more comfortable. I feel more confident that I can move on. So I have the building blocks. So, and it's also feeding other faucets in the business, because like you have to choose the POS system. So which one should I choose? So I could just get any cheap one and it's going to do the job. But when I'm thinking about building a business that will last and will have sustainability and will continue, and I want to be successful and teach other people how to be successful and how to open their business, I need to find the best available POS system.
And knowing how to read your profit and loss statement means that you know if you can afford it or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this goes back to our very first episode of the SWAPCAST, which was about understanding the business model, right? You're not looking to open just a cafe that's going to be around for 12 months. You're looking at building the new industry standard for what everybody else will be aiming to, inshallah, be like. Inshallah. And so you can't do that by having, infrastructure that's kind of sticky taped here and kind of sort of built there, and like it needs to be done properly.
Yeah.
So
like we go into the whole process of creating like we have the hiring process, doing it step by step, taking our time to do it. It's not like just rushing all the way through the hiring process. It's very easy just to announce that we really need a barista, and
how
a
will
barista
you feel,
will show up.
How will you feel the next time you see an ad that says looking for a barista, 2 years experience, can do latte art?
Yeah, this is a disaster, because like I can tell that these people didn't even think about the culture, about what standards they have, what boundaries, like how are they gonna build this business and how they're gonna continue.
If you're listening to this and you want to see how Sara executed on this hiring plan, head to the show notes and you'll see the Instagram for that. It's thatcafe.co, but the link is in the show notes. And you will very clearly see the posts where Sara announced that she was hiring for the specific positions. And it's in Arabic and it's in English so that you'll be able to read it. But the really interesting thing to understand from that, like with everything to do with infrastructure, as you're building it, it needs to be flexible. And so, we started off looking to hire for a bunch of different positions. And as we started to put things together, what we ended up hiring it in a slightly different way, right?
Yeah.
We
Of course, you have to adjust and adapt. Like, it's not like written on a stone.
In stone.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to adjust. You have to adapt. You have to find ways to, like, when we did the hiring, like we had 3 rounds, and we were thinking every time we rethink the second round, the round coming next.
Yep.
Because we had to do some adjustments.
Yep. And because we knew what the culture was, we worked very hard to make sure, and we're going to talk about this in the next episode with the hiring strategy, but we worked very hard to make sure that we asked specific questions that would give us insight into this person's reaction towards these cultural elements that we needed in the business. So we'll talk more about that in the next episode.
Yeah.
My turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Peace, love, and peanut butter, everybody. Have an amazing rest of your day.